What's up, guys? This is another episode of Off the Post, and you heard us laughing about another joke that DJ Redcap has said because I'm so funny. As you know, what's that, Courtney? We're going to start with you. You know what? Skip all the talk and the other stuff. I had some stuff I was going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. So we're going to start our spotlights pretty soon. You got to start looking out for that. Our first spotlight will be... Our first spotlight will be March 13th, and I'm going to ignore what's going on back there. It sounds like a ton of dogs. It will be the Portland spotlight, so be sure to tune in for that. I'm not even going to ask questions. Let's just jump into things right now. Shall we? Courtney, how are you doing today?
I'm good, I think. I'm confused at what's going on right now, but everything's good. We're just going to say good move on.
Not a clue, not coming from here. I have no dogs. Let's see.
Okay.
Jen, what's happening?
Since 2 days ago, the last time you saw me, I developed a cold, so I'm kind of grumpy today, so I apologize for the lack of filter on this show.
That's fine. That is fine.
Like, you have a filter anyways.
Exactly.
I'm still trying to figure out where that noise is coming from. Jen Hayes, how have you been doing?
I have been doing fabulous. It's been a really good day. You know, not a problem in the world yet.
Yet. Oh boy. And that foreshadowing though. And Rommel, what have you been up to lately?
Hey there. 5 a.m. India, 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Doing good. It's been great.
You sound like you're pretty happy today. Well, welcome to the show. We have to break the newbie in, don't we, guys? As we always do. All right, it's time for me to say what I have to say. If you want to speak to us, use the hashtag WoSoTalk, or you can use the hashtag Courtney Androns. Either one will respond to, and we will, whatever questions are coming, so you actually have to use WoSoTalk, and we'll say, we'll say it on the air. This is a funny episode. Let's actually get started. I had to start the episode with some type of joke after the wolf that I have no clue where expectations going into the game. Let's start with the new guy, Romo. What are your expectations going into this game?
Yeah, I think. I'm quite excited. I think it's going to be a strong matchup again. I'm not too sure about how the teams will play out. They've all had like really tough games, and it's a very small turnaround. So I'm just excited. I think it can go either ways. We saw it with the last matchups, like a completely boring game to begin with, and then some kind of a match the second half. So we're hoping for some more awesome matches. So yeah.
Jen Carl, what were yours?
I guess I thought the U.S. would show their fitness a little bit more, or maybe England's has gotten that much better. But I expected the U.S. to kind of beat them out on the fitness level, where we usually see them, hunkering down in the second half and being able to create more chances because they tire out the other team. That didn't happen. But yeah, I think that was my biggest expectation. That, and I also kind of expected to see the younger players on the team, which we did catch a glimpse of. Maybe not the exact ones that were out there, but yeah, that's kind of what I expected.
All right. Jen Hayes, your thoughts?
I actually expected a lot of what we got from England. Since they're not going to the Olympics, this is essentially their biggest event of the year. So I expected them to come out and really give it to us, and they did. So I got what I expected from them. I expected us to do a little better than we did. Maybe a little more fluid in certain areas that we didn't get. So, yeah, I expected a little better from the U.S.
It's Courtney. Your thoughts?
You okay over there, DJ?
I'm fine. I got a stuffy nose today.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what was said already. I think that I actually thought England was a lot more fit than I thought they would be. I kind of expected during the second half they may kind of fizzle out a little bit. But I think for the most part they were really did a good job staying in it. And I think, obviously if it wasn't for that was incredible finish by Dunn, it could have very well been a tie game. From the U.S., I expected them to be a little bit neater. I know we're going to probably break it down more, but I expected them to be a little bit more clean, and I expected it to be, be a little bit more, not necessarily dominating, because England's a very good team, obviously, but I expected them to do a little bit better also. I think that they kind of looked a little rough for a good chunk of the game, so I think I was expecting it to be a little cleaner from them as well.
Yeah, I guess my expectation was they would come out, like you said, a little bit cleaner. I would expect them. I expect them to have like most of the possession and control of the game for the most part, but England still be a threat. So I expect them to look like they were in control for the most part. I guess it was a thing where I didn't expect them like just to beat England badly. Cause I never wanted that to happen anyway. It seems like you said, last year they played us tough, and I was expecting this year with even more confidence and stuff they'd give us a pretty good fight. But I wasn't. I guess that's what I was looking for more. So like a tough game, but still like the U.S. to look a bit, I guess, in control of it for the most part. Maybe looking for the England to be looking to hit us on a counter more. So that was my expectation. A good game, but still a bit more of a dominant U.S. Kind of like, I guess, controlling the game for the most part. First half for review, we will start with you. Back with you again, Courtney Andros. Your thoughts on the first half?
Yeah, I kind of talked about it a little bit in my expectations. I think that the U.S. we were just very messy, especially through the midfield. I think that, not to call people out, but I'm not overly impressed. I've said this before on the show. I'm not on board with the Lindsey Horan train at the moment, and I'm still not after that. Still really not after that game. I think that she made a lot of errors, and I'm going to be really honest with everyone. And not so much that she made errors. I had to go back and double check to see if Morgan Bryan was actually starting or in the game, because I honestly just didn't see really anything from her either. And just the midfield was very messy in general. And again, we kind of saw this throughout qualifiers, but even Lloyd was kind of just absent. And I just thought it was not a very complete complete first half. And I'm just gonna, I mentioned this I think in our chat, but this might ruffle some feathers. But I don't. It was a pretty rough game on both sides, foul wise. But this is the second game that Alex Morgan has pretty much bowled a goalkeeper over. And I think they called the foul this time, but potentially should have been a card. And I just think they need to be careful with just kind of the recklessness sometimes with the physicality, because I think that in the future that could be a problem for players, I guess, discipline wise and health and safety wise. And on the other side of that, England was kind of brutal at times also. So just from any team in the rest of the tournament, I'd like to see them be a little cleaner, I think. But yeah, rough, not a great first half either way.
Gene Hayes, your thoughts on the first half?
Well, yeah, I gotta agree with Courtney. It was rough. It was ugly. It wasn't fun to watch. Well, except for Alex Greenwood, she was, with the exception of a couple of fouls, she was fun to watch. She was getting up there, getting stuck in, doing a lot of what needed to be done for England. I also really liked the battle between Lucy Bronze and Mallory Pugh. They were going at each other that entire first half, and there wasn't really one of them that came out on top. Some of the things would win, sometimes Bronze would win, so that was really fun to watch. And yeah, really also really disappointed with Lindsey Horan. Yeah, I know she's a natural midfielder, but I think all the time she spent up top in the youth ranks and at PSG has kind of dulled that a little bit for her, and she needs time to get it back. And when she gets pressured, she loses the ball so easily. Or it had to have been at least 10 or 15 turnovers from her in that first half, so... And it denied the service to Carly and Alex, who got a rap for being invisible because they just weren't getting the ball. You kept seeing them have to go back into the midfield to get it. So overall, a pretty rough first half. A lot of shaky moments from some people, as expected. Not very happy at all with it.
No, I want to hit on 2 points because you guys hit the points exactly. I feel like with the Iran thing, it's like major growing pains we're going to deal with, especially as much as Brian is considered an experienced player from all the World Cup stuff. She's still young too, so we got both of them in there. And sometimes Iran just doesn't look comfortable or seems to struggle a lot and lose the ball. So it's going to hurt us overall with Lloyd and them and the much service they get. But Lloyd has been just struggling sometimes lately too a lot, and it's just been weird because if we got that triangle struggling in there, then whereas the serve is going to come to the forwards or everything else. I mean, you need that midfield to really control everything. Lucy Bronze, I'm glad you mentioned her. To me, that's a player that is just so underrated. I consider her like one of the top players in the world because she can play multiple positions. She meant so much to the English during the World Cup, and it's just like a player that people just don't talk about a lot of times. Or they'll mention her when England's brought up. They don't just mention her when you're just talking about other players around the world, and I feel like she should be brought up a bit more. But that's just me. I'm not going to get into a Lucy Bronze rant. I'll probably do that on an OP. How about that? A Lucy Bronze rant and an OP or something. Jennifer, Jean Carl, your thoughts on the second half?
The second half was still kind of more both teams. I was hoping both teams would really come out and you get some fresh legs in there and it would pick things up a little bit. But I really didn't see a whole lot of that. Obviously Crystal Dunn came in and made a very quick impact. I think it was like 5 minutes or something after she came in, she scored the lone goal. So that was awesome. I always love Crystal Dunn goals. Those are some of my favorite goals, and I've said it before that now the rest of the country gets to see what it's like to be a Spirit fan and sit back and wait for Crystal Dunn to come on and make some magic because she always does. I think one really good chance coming in there. My microphone just did a weird thing. Okay. DJ, are you muting me again? No.
No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. My hands are right here.
I think Tony Duggan early in the second half had a good shot that could have potentially done some damage for Hope Solo, but even that chance was a little bit off, I feel, for her talent. It was nice to see the subs come in. Again, I really liked seeing Crystal Dunn get in there. We saw the introduction of Ali Krieger late in the game, probably too late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen Press popping in there. Who else came in? Julie Johnston and random Whitney Engen sub in the 90th minute. Whatever. I think Jealous was just like, oh, hey, you didn't get like a single minute during the World Cup. Here, have like 3 during the She Believes Cup. So yeah, it was just not overall. It wasn't a good game. The second half didn't really improve a whole lot, with the exception of a couple of brilliant moments. But as a whole, it was still very lackluster for me.
I guess I could hit on a couple of points from what you said. Crystal Dunn, amazing player. I've been waiting on her for, like I said, the last feels like a couple of years. Every time she comes on, she seems like she does something positive. She has to start, in my opinion. She's a great player, and that is the future. Well, the future is now. So we have to have Crystal Dunn out there because she's a goal scorer and she finds a way to score goals. And I predicted last. I mean, I feel like it's almost an easy prediction at times. I predicted last show. I said, "Oh, Crystal Dunn to score," even though I predicted England to score with Frank Kirby. Yeah. But I knew Crystal Dunn would score. I just feel like every time she goes up there, you have a chance if you're a betting man, and I am sometimes. You can bet on Crystal Dunn, she'll score. Either she might not score this game, or you better bet the next game she'll score. So definitely with that. Romo, your thoughts on the second half?
Yeah, I think there are a few things, of course, very pertinent to the second half. But I think overall in terms of the game itself. Credit where credit's due. I think England came out really aggressive. Mm-hmm. Played a fabulous, pressing game. There were players collapsing. The minute any of the US players even dawdled a bit on the ball, so that was like a lot of pressure. But I think where serious questions need to be asked was in terms of tactics on the US side. Uh, and I think one of the people that we need to really pull up has to be Kali Lloyd. Um, you could see that there was this very basic idea in terms of how they're going to approach the match. Kali playing her roving midfield slash forward kind of a position. Uh, that really didn't help when the pressure was on the newbies, Horan and Mo. The flanks were getting slaughtered. I think Kling and KO had terrible games. There was just no angles available. On it's that entire midfield that kind of disappeared. Lots of missed passes from all of them, which is why when you saw someone like a Dunn come in in the second half, the impact was just because there was so much of a difference in terms of the quality that just came on board. I think also in terms of the fact that when we know that a team like England is going to be aggressive, they have the European physicality. I think what we missed with the starting lineup was the fact that there was no JJ, there was no Creeks. KO was a shadow of herself in terms of confidence. Heath wasn't getting her passes in. He did try and take on a little too much. And what happened then was that there was so much of a pressure coming on that the midfield and the back foot that it just became very difficult. What we saw throughout the entire game was some maybe 4 or 5 shots on goal, 2 that were on target, which is like ridiculous. I thought just tactically it was a very, very bad call. And Kali needed to kind of step up, make that change in terms of tactics and say, I'm going to drop back a little more, help these guys find their angles a bit. She had that freedom of movement, so I don't see why she didn't do it. She was completely invisible all the time. So yeah, those are my thoughts for the game.
I wanted to hit on that. It goes back actually to what you were saying, Giancarlo, about Tony Duggan. I've been so disappointed with her on the national team level. I'm sorry, this is an English thing for me. I get so giddy about England. I've been so disappointed about her. You guys are going all USWNT team. Sorry, England. I've been so disappointed with her on the national team level because it seems like sometimes, like every time she's been getting opportunity after opportunity, and she just doesn't seem like she scores. I mean, she gets chances and good, opportunities. Yeah. She just doesn't score, Duggan. But back to the U.S. Women's National Team because that's our focus. Yes, Americans, right? Sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, to be fair, even there was this one really good chance that Duggan had, and she just kind of made a very bad judgment in terms of that play. There was a very open Taylor on the other side that pass never happened, and that chance went to beg. So bad call there. Yeah.
Yeah, if she would have passed that to Taylor, that could have. Yeah. I don't say it would have been a guaranteed goal, but Taylor was so wide open, it wasn't even funny. Yeah. So squandered chance by England there for sure.
Yeah.
Yep, understandable. All right, guys. Well, let's talk about, I guess, our overall analysis of the game. We will start back with you, Romo. Overall view of the game.
I think, in terms of a showcase, I thought it was a much, much better match than the France-Germany match. It was a little too rough in patches, but I think overall we got a game that everyone saw a certain buzz, a certain kind of excitement watching a match of that caliber. The US hasn't been playing teams at that level. So all in all, I thought it was a great showcase. I think a great beginning for this tournament. I just hope that Alice has got a few ideas, maybe a plan B when she's facing teams like these. It's going to be difficult otherwise.
Giancarlo, your thoughts on the overall analysis of the game?
Just from stepping back for a minute and looking at it as just a pure fan instead of someone trying to analyze things, it felt very, very similar to the group stage of the World Cup, where we're playing teams that are a little bit more high caliber than CONCACAF, and everybody was kind of running around like chickens with their heads cut off. It was horrifying watching that group stage of the World Cup because we were like, oh God, what's happening? We're all gonna die. What's going on? And it was very similar to that, where it was just like, what's happening? And I think if Crystal Dunn wouldn't have come in and scored, it would be extremely reminiscent of that. So thank you, Crystal Dunn, for your one moment of brilliance. Saving us all from the wrath of Jill Ellis again. And I say that because I think she's doing the same exact thing. I think the group stage of the World Cup was kind of an experiment for her. And I think this is too. Like, she's thrown the younger players in games that, I don't want to say they don't matter, because every game matters, but she's trying to get different combinations of people. And I think at this point, it's as much of a cup as it is her trying to finalize her roster for the Olympics. So, I hate to say it, but, she knows what to expect with players like Ali Krieger. She doesn't necessarily with players like KO playing in that position in different combinations and whatever else, and like Lindsey Horan, Mallory Pugh. She doesn't know as much what to expect from them as she does her veteran players. So I think she'll bring in the veterans, when she needs to, but I think she's still trying to figure out what exactly her plan is moving forward, and I'm feeling like that game showed a lot of that, and she just needs to stop experimenting before she gives me a coronary. So.
Fair enough. Jen Hayes.
That game was a mess. It was a mess of things that Ellis was trying that overall didn't work. But you know what? We need these games. We need these games now. So when it comes to Rio, we're not still trying to figure things out. Although knowing Ellis, she's probably still going to be trying to figure things out. So. Yeah, while it wasn't a good game from a U.S. perspective, it was a lot better. Like you said, it was a lot better than the snooze fest that was France-Germany. That game was boring. That game was so boring. I cannot believe Germany got lucky, got away with that win. So yeah, I hope Ellis got the answers that she was looking for, and we see a few tweaks next time, but it's definitely not one for the highlight reels. So many players had bad games, including one I didn't mention. Sorry, Carl, you're gonna kill me. I don't think Tobin Heath did much except get fouled and give the ball away. So she was another one that's on the naughty list. Sorry, Carl.
We almost made it through without you mentioning that. Almost.
It's okay. It's alright.
I gave her fair warning that I was not going to be kind to Tobin.
Wow.
In defense of Tobin, though, not just because I'm a Tobin fan, they all looked like crap. The ball movement on that entire side sucked. KO had a horrible game. Horan and Morgan Bryan in the central midfield just were not connecting, partly because of Horan's turnover rate. And again, I will sound like a broken record until the day I die over this. I prefer Tobin Heath on the left flank. It's a more natural position for her. She does so much better on the left flank. So there was a lot working against her and working against the entire midfield because they all played like crap. So I can't specifically, like, I'll say when Tobin has a bad game, and she didn't have her best game, but neither did the rest of the team. So it's tough for one player to come out and shine when the whole team looks like crap, and realistically, I think maybe only 3 players did have a good game. I'll give it to Hugh Dunn and Sauerbrunn, but other than that, I mean, it's tough to point out players who did well or badly just because the lineup wasn't where it needed to be. I don't know if they were all sick too and had too much snot running through their heads like the rest of us. I mean,
well,
this is true. This is why. This is the real reason why. I would just want to say real quick, I feel bad for any time KO has a bad game because she's already on the outs of the Ellis way. She does not play the Ellis way. So anytime she has a bad game,
gets to play unlike KO.
Oh, I know, right? It could be worse, I guess. So it's one of those things where you better be happy on the bench because you could be farther away. Courtney Andros, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's been said. I think that, like Ellis is experimenting a lot with the lineup, but I think some experiments should probably come to an end, or change combinations. I say this full disclosure, obviously, like as an Allie Krieger fan, but and like yes, we know what Krieger can do, we understand that, but like the same combination, and like there's been games that KO's had a great game. There's been very few games in the last since qualifying that Kling has had a really great game, and I know Kling overall is like a very solid defender, but like why not mix that up? Like why not put KO and Krieger and see how that works? Or because KO can play on the left side. I just think that like they've both been starting repeated games and both have not really been having great games. And I know last night's hard to judge because no one really had a good game, but like I know a lot of people were not impressed with Klingenberg during the qualifiers either. And there were a couple games that O'Hara had that were decent. One really good game. But like overall, I'd just like to see some of that mix up a little bit. You know, I would have liked to see maybe throw Sam Ewis in the midfield. You know, at that point, give it a go. You know, because clearly, I think they maybe left Turan in there a little bit too long. I would have liked to see throw. And I know they're different positions and things like that, but like change up the midfield, throw Sam Ewis in there, or you know, make I guess subs that make sense. Unlike random Engen sub, and this is no offense to Engen, but it was kind of like, what are we doing right now? Like, what's happening? So I just would have liked to see, I guess, maybe subs happen earlier, even like getting Krieger in there and like she got like 5 minutes or something like that. Like, if you're gonna make this, if you're gonna play around lineups and make the subs, like do them like in a reasonable time. Don't just throw people on there for fun with like 4 minutes left. Cause like, what's the point of that? You don't really like learn. Like, there's no great. You got in for 4 minutes. Good job. Go you. It's like what happened? But like yeah, overall, I mean, I thought England had a really great game, to be honest. Again, squandered a couple chances, one big one, but I think they performed better than a lot of us thought they were going to perform. And I think it is kind of a combination that we didn't play well either, but I think even if we had been playing better, like England just did a really good job of like shutting down the midfield in certain aspects of the game. So hopefully, I mean, I guess the good thing is that I mean, you always want to play well, but like this is a good time for Ellis to be kind of playing around with the line and stuff like that, because it's not like they've already qualified for the Olympics. It's just kind of just a yay, we want to play against like higher quality team now in preparation kind of thing. So. But yeah, it's like Jen said earlier, it's making people nervous, which no one likes going into the Olympics. So, hopefully we kind of get our stuff together before like we actually start the Olympics.
I guess I want to say quick thoughts on Klingenberg again, since we seem to bludgeon her as much as possible in the show at times.
Gently, I try to be gentle with my Kling criticism. It happens sometimes.
I mean, I just try to be honest. With her, it's the thing with her was that I find kind of funny. It's like you said, it's funny. It's for what you said, Courtney. Like she struggled, or she wasn't really. She was all right during the qualifiers, you said, or just like not really, or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, qualifiers. I don't even think she wasn't terrible, but like there were games that she had that were kind of just, and then there were some games where you were just like, oh my god, what are you doing? So like overall, like not great.
Not great during qualifiers. I remember leading up to the World Cup, that whole year, people were saying, what is she doing most of the time? Wasn't that good? And then she had that one header save in the World Cup that made her almost like a legend to everyone. And it's like, if you look back even at the American team, what's his name, John Anthony Brooks, he had that one header in the World Cup. You can't really base that one moment and try to blow someone up into this great defender when they're not really that good to begin with. So I think that one moment kind of made her a bigger than what she actually is, because it seems like now she's, especially being, the Ellis way being that she will always play, hashtag the Ellis way. It's just like to the point where, I mean, sometimes she can struggle as much as she wants. She knows she's going to start. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. She's a
well, I think part of that
world class.
Well, I think a lot of that too is because like obviously she played for Tony Gustafsson in Sweden, and for some reason, like obviously like he sees something in her that's like that Ellis also is seeing and is kind of keeping her in the starting lineup. And I'm not saying that's like a favoritism thing, but I'm just saying he obviously has information on her from the time that they were all in Sweden that like he obviously knows aspects of her game that maybe we don't see all the time, or maybe that we don't like that games don't necessarily show, that's been keeping her in the lineup. So it's just, obviously there's stuff that goes on that we don't know about either in training and things like that as well. So I think there's just a lot of factors to take into obviously picking a lineup, but it just would be nice, I guess, to see more consistent performances like during games and things like that.
Yeah, I think she just has a bunch of dirt on all of them, and that's what it is, So they know if she lets it out, then they'll all be in trouble. So that's what it is. She has dirt on all of them.
It's like yeah. See, in terms of the match yesterday, for example, uh, historically when you look at Kling, she is an aggressive fullback, and you see that time and again when you are playing, CONCACAF teams where she's running at defenses. She cuts in, she has her shots on target, stuff like that. When you're playing a higher level team like in England, I think this was a mistake that we could see all across that defense and the midfield, where they were just not making the right decisions, and Kling time and time again got caught with the ball or made very errant passes. She was actually getting shown up by Pew yesterday, which was, I think, a big disaster. Really sad to see her, on the same flank as Pew, and this young girl's like really on fire. That I think more than ever kind of just showcased the fact that this, Kling. I mean, we all know that she has talent. She just didn't, apply her mind yesterday to the game. I think that was the problem with most of the team yesterday.
I just feel like with her, my whole big beef is I feel like because after all those shutouts and stuff, I feel like she's an average defender with. You got like Sarb running JJ and them, like and Ali. You got a great back line, and then you're the average one, but you still get promoted as like you're like the top, one of the top people in the world. That's my only big issue, but that's an issue for another day. Neither here nor there. Okay, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. She's average. Let's talk about the France. What we're looking forward to the France game real quick, guys. Romo, we'll start with you. What are you looking forward to with us playing the French?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very different game. Where we saw, I think the entire strategy as far as England was concerned was basically pressure on the ball and the counter. With France, it's going to be all about them keeping possession and making really good forays into the final third. I think it's going to be critical to see how whoever's in the midfield, Horan, whether it's Mo, whether it's viewers coming in, I think it's going to be critical how they are going to be handling that pressure, and more than handling the ball itself. I think it's going to be critical to see how they're going to try and break up that flow from France. I think that's going to really tell how this team getting along, at least at this level. So yeah, that's.
Predict a score now.
I would say 1-1.
Who's your first goal scorer?
I definitely think France is going to pull it.
Oh, okay. All right. Fine. I'm not too. I like the French. French people never get me wrong either. But I'll tell my predictions later. Jim Carl.
Yeah. Like what was just said, we have to hold the ball. We have. Like if we're doing those turnovers in the midfield, players like Nassib, like Lessemer are going to get in there and just murder any kind of mistake in the midfield. Like they're going to absolutely take the opportunity and capitalize on those. So we have to hold the ball. We have to have better possession. We can't be making those mistakes in the midfield and in our third, like we saw against England. That just it'll cost us a lot more than it did against England. The one thing that I didn't mention about Kling, but I think it's touched on very briefly, I feel like this last lineup, Jill Ellis went with a more attack-minded defensive line. And again, when we're going up against CONCACAF teams, that's fine. When we're going up against teams like France, like England, like Germany, we need to, yes, have attack in mind, but also play with that world-class midfield defense we're used to seeing from the World Cup now. So Taylor may be a little bit more attack-minded, Kling may be a little bit more attack-minded, but we need to find a balance now that's going to work. I feel like we had that balance in the World Cup, and you know, granted JJ wasn't in, Emily Sonnet. I'm sorry, I'm probably going to get like all kinds of Sonnet hate for this, but I felt like she was a mistake in that lineup against England. So I expect to see some tweaks there. Hopefully, maybe getting a more solid back line, less turnovers back there, and again the midfield. I don't necessarily know that I would tweak the midfield a whole lot, actually. As much as Haran turned over the ball and as much as we had issues, they have shown that they're capable in their midfield roles. So I'd like to see maybe a couple of them change position, but maybe the same starting lineup in the midfield. And then up top, Alex Morgan and Carly Lloyd, I'd like to see them maybe get another shot at it. But I definitely do expect a different game against France. England came out against us strong. I think France is going to come out even stronger. I'm excited to see their level of fitness against the U.S. too, though. I don't know if they're gonna crumble in the second half. But the other thing we have going against France with Alex Morgan and Carly Lloyd up top is the French goalkeeper. Boadi is just, again, we said it last show, she's got some butterfingers. So, if we can capitalize on their mistakes as much as they would capitalize on ours, I think we'll come out on top, and I'm going to go 2-0.
Who's scoring first for the U.S.?
Oh, man. I'm going to say it's going to be... I'll call both goals. I'll call it Alex Morgan and Crystal Dunn.
Okay. All right. Jen Hayes?
Well, I would say that we were going to see a much stronger France lineup, but again, they are missing some of their pieces. They don't have Renard. They may not have Georges, who's picked up an injury before the Germany game. That's why she didn't play. They don't have Henri. They have they don't have Below. These are the strong pieces that they're missing, so it's not really as much of a test as it would be if they were at full strength. So I don't know if it's going to be. I honestly don't know what all to expect. I'm hoping that for us, I'd like to see Sam Mewis in there instead of Haran, because Haran was a disappointment, to put it lightly. I'd also like to see Krieger in there instead of take Kling out, put Krieger, and I don't know, even though she was horrible, to give KO another shot.
Bounce.
Well, no, she was horrible, but the only other option besides KO and Kling is Hinkle, and she's apparently got an ankle knock still. So
Yeah, Barnes is there. Barnes plays left back.
That's England, though. I'm talking us.
Yeah,
No,
Barnes.
Barnes.
Oh, Barnes! I thought you said bronze. My bad, Rommel. I'm sorry. These
No, play bronze. Please play bronze. Please.
Oh yeah, wouldn't that be nice if we could steal bronze away?
Hey, Samson, you touch Klingenberg, give us bronze.
Wow.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, sure, why not? As long as we don't have both her and Sonnet in there, because like y'all said, she was another bad one. Yeah, go for that. Like to see on the wings, Pugh get another start, and I like to see Dunn back in the lineup again. She's made impacts off the bench. Like to see her go back on the right side and put Heath on the left.
Yeah.
Or Pugh. I'm fine with either one of them. As far as score lines, considering that, like Carl said, Buhati is a well, let's just say she can have her moments. I'm going to predict a 2-0 scoreline as well, with both goals by Carly Lloyd.
Okay. Somebody's a Carly Lloyd
Not a
fan.
hat trick.
Someone's
Not
a
a
Carly
hat
Lloyd fan.
trick. I don't do the hat trick prediction anymore.
If you look in Jen Hayes' little picture of her lower third, who do you see? Oh, Carly Lloyd. Okay.
Oh, come, no, hold on. I'm thinking she's due.
Don't start this argument. Let's move on.
I am thinking she is due for a breakout game, and of course I could look silly when the game goes on, but yeah, I'll say she gets both goals and we win 2-0.
Okay, I believe you. Courtney?
I'm again. Since you keep going to me last, thank you, DJ. Everyone's pretty much said a lot of what I would normally say.
Yeah.
But I just want to like echo obviously what Jen Hayes said about France missing a lot of players. That being said, they still have a lot of extremely talented players that are still there. They have a lot of youngsters too that are maybe not as established, but are incredibly talented also. And just a point, as far as from what I can tell, that they've been playing Nassib as more of a forward instead of a midfielder. So I think you take one of like the best attacking, in my opinion, one of the best attacking midfielders in the women's game, and you put her up front more. I think that could be extremely dangerous because she is incredibly talented and a dangerous goal scorer. In both places you put her on the field. So. As far as like the U.S. lineup, obviously there's going to be changes. I'm not going to try to go through and guess what they're going to be because Ellis likes to do all the weird things. So I'm not even going to go there to not look like a fool when none of it happens. But I do think I'm going to say 2-1 for the score. I'm not going to comment on who I think the U.S. goal scorers are going to be because I don't even know who the lineup's going to be because Ellis does her thing. I will say probably Crystal Dunn. I'll give that a thing.
Yep.
I will say I think for France it probably will be Nassib if they score.
All right. Yeah, it's so weird with the whole lineups trying to guess a bit. But I mean, I always say, well, for me, I got a 2-0 score line. No, 2-1 because I can see France getting one. But Butterfingers over there is going to let Crystal Dunn get one. And how about this? Let's give Alex Morgan one, and she won't run over a keeper getting it either, though. So let's give her one, because I think she needs about one. You Morgan addicts, you like that, don't you? You like that, eh? Other than that, yeah, I don't know.
And there's a stronger keeper that comes in, that's gone.
Yeah, oh, dude, I agree, 100%. So I mean, yeah, so that's my prediction, really. I mean, I would want to see a tough game from France, but they can't give us much at this point. They really can't. They only can give us so much of all the injuries. So I'm not really looking. This is the one game I'm not looking forward to at all, to be honest. The game I wanted has already passed. The next game, the Germany game, will be kind of fun, hopefully. So this is just a game in between that we have to cover because we have to do those things. So other than that,
I actually disagree. I actually think it has the potential to be a really interesting game. So I'm going to actually on record disagree with you there.
Okay, that's fine.
Cosigns.
That's fine. Everyone can agree against me. They always do. Other than that, you can watch the game. I won't. It's another episode. You guys have anything else to say? Like
can I just open a? I'm going to open a can of worms real quick that we all don't want to have opened, but I want to address at least. DJ and I were talking about this earlier in the week. I want to address just like at least my opinion on this whole. I know there's people who do or don't like the naming of this tournament, and I'm going there. I'm going to open the can of worms, and I've just seen a lot of this. I've seen. Mostly on Facebook is where I kind of looking in like the NWSL groups. People are kind of going back and forth about like the name of the group and whatnot, and kind of making fun of it, like Sheba, like the dog, and things like that. My issue, I do agree. Like I think calling it Four Nations, like yes, there is a Four Nations tournament, so like let's not call it Four Nations tournament. But I think my issue is that I think the She Believes initiative was a great. I think it is a great program initiative, something the players started to get people, especially young girls, like involved, pumped up, like involved in women's soccer, ready for the World Cup, things like that. I think it's great. I think it's great to see that continue. For me, I just think it's slightly odd to name like a tournament that you're inviting other teams to after an initiative that you've started, for whatever reason, to mostly focus on getting younger girls involved in soccer. But I think if you wanted to name the Victory Tour, like the She Believes Victory Tour, that would have been just fine. Right. But that's just me personally. That's just, I know we've talked about it on the show before, and I just feel like further explaining that I think it's a great initiative, and I think it's something I'd like to see continue. I just think for me personally, it's strange to name like this tournament that you're inviting like other teams to after like your own initiative that you started. That's just, and I know people do it all the time. There's things named after sponsors and whatnot, and I get that. But that's just my opinion. I just wanted to like share that out there, just because we've talked about it, but I haven't actually been able to talk about it on a show. So I just wanted to just throw that out there. And to agree or disagree, it's fine. We're just all here to share our opinions. So I just wanted to just throw that out there. Like, I have nothing against the initiative. I just, for like a tournament, like an international tournament that you're hosting, I just think it's an odd choice. But that's it. That's all. Just throwing that out there.
Oh well, I agree 100%. I mean, you said it all. I won't say anything else. If you agree with the initiative, like the channel. If you don't agree with what we said, like the channel. Either way, it's their lives. I don't agree with it, and I think it's a joke, that name. And I'm not a young girl, so I really think it's a joke. But other than that, I think that's everything. So it's another episode of the Bowls. We will be back March 7th, I believe. So I guess we all get a little break over the weekend, and then we pop back up to talk about what happens in the France game that all these panelists except me are looking so forward to watching.
You're terrible.
I shouldn't be trolling on air like that. I think they already know, though. They know, but I hope you guys know, too, that I do that. This is another episode of Off the Post. I'm your host, DJ Redcap, and we will be signing off. And we might not be back on after what happens with the She Believers hating us. Shall we wave? Shall we wave? I think we shall wave. Bye-bye. Roma, where's your wave? I do not like your wave.
It's right there.
Turn that hand quicker. Turn that hand. You turn that hand good.